Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito, he delivered a speech just on Thursday at the University of Notre Dame. And he took that opportunity to respond to an article written in The Atlantic by Adam Serwer. Apologies if I mispronounced his name. He responded to an article that was written by Adam Serwer about the Supreme Court's actions or lack thereof when it came to the anti-choice law that was passed in Texas. So first, let's go to a couple of the points in the article that Alito took some offense to. First of all, the conservative majority in the Supreme Court was so eager to nullify Roe v. Wade and the 1973 precedent securing the right to abortion that it didn't even wait for oral arguments, is what Serwer said. He went on to say, instead, in the middle of the night, 5 of the high court's conservatives issued a brief, unsigned order allowing a Texas law that bans abortion at 6 weeks. So that was part of the article. It was longer than that, of course, but these things is what Alito pointed out here in this video of him speaking in Notre Dame.
Here is a line from a recent piece talking about our refusal to grant an injunction in the Texas abortion case. Quote, the conservative majority on the Supreme Court was so eager to nullify Roe v. Wade that it didn't even wait for oral argument, end quote. Now, put aside the false and inflammatory claim that we nullified Roe versus Wade. We did no such thing, and we said that expressly in our order. I quote, the applicants now before us have raised serious questions regarding the constitutionality of the Texas law at issue. This order is not based on any conclusion about the constitutionality of Texas's law. So the statement is flatly wrong, and the suggestion that we should have held oral argument is ridiculous.
So after that, Adam Serwer took to Twitter to dispute some of these things. They went back and forth. But one tweet here that he did say was, while As Roma is playing, truly a shameful talisman of the court's politicization, is what he said in response to this video where he was speaking out against it. Now, the thing that stuck out to me is this, I didn't want to, you guys can maybe discuss the back and forth whether or not who's right and wrong on this, but I just noticed how Supreme Court justices tend to be responding more and more to people's criticisms of the way that they handle this and maybe many other things as they now have this big conservative majority. Because I also remembered earlier in September, let's jump down to Amy Coney Barrett in quote number 5 here, you guys. She said, and she was speaking also as well at an event in Kentucky, and she said, in the wake of a controversial decision on abortion rights, the US Supreme Court Justice this is from the article, Amy Coney Barrett told a crowd of more than 100 people that she doesn't believe the highest court in the land is politically driven. She said, quote, my goal today is to convince you that this court is not comprised of a bunch of partisan hacks. She went on to say, the media, along with hot takes on Twitter, report results and decisions that makes the decision seem results oriented. It leaves the reader to judge whether the court is right or wrong based on whether she liked the results of the decision, is what Barrett also said. And then she continued by saying, I don't always like the results of my decisions. It's not my job to decide cases based on the outcome that I want. So I'm seeing a lot of these folks and these justices are trying to defend their actions in public now. And I feel like maybe because I wasn't paying attention as closely before, they didn't do this as much. And I've made this comparison with athletes that, the Michael Jordans and Scottie Pippens and Ron Artest of the world. Maybe they would have had a different kind of reaction to the way people responded to what they did because social media wasn't, the athletes now have to look at everyone saying something about them. And maybe these Supreme Court justices are feeling the same kind of pressure, and now they feel the need to respond because they feel like their character is now being lambasted in the press and then on Twitter. Amy Coney Barrett mentioned it specifically. They're tweeting about me.
Yeah,
it seems a little weird.
Yeah, you're right, Jer. I don't remember the justice doing this nearly as much. Scalia used to do it from time to time, but it almost responds like it almost feels like they're responding to the trolls. But except in this case, the trolls are not trolls, they're legitimate reporters bringing up very good points about the politicization of the Supreme Court. Amy Coney Barrett, her point, in my opinion, is a joke. Yes, I can show you cases where they don't rule party line, but I can show you a hell of a lot more cases where they do. Coincidentally, well, look at that. The liberals went this way and the conservatives went that way. And look at that, it seems to match up with their political opinions. That happens the overwhelming majority of the time. So, but by the way, the one thing where they often join up, although the liberal justices have been pretty good about it recently, is corporate rulings. So And she might say, hey, look, on that issue, we didn't vote in the conservative way. But on overwhelming majority of those cases where the conservatives don't vote right wing, they're voting pro-corporate. Okay, now having said all that, I'm gonna throw a curveball here and say, I don't think Alito was wrong, but we have an actual legal expert, Adrienne, and by the way, you should check out our videos on Rebel Headquarters where she does legal analysis for us as well. But I'm curious, Adrienne, like Alito says, look, we didn't rule on the merits. I think that's true. We didn't rule on the constitutionality. I think that's true. In effect, it put Roe v. Wade in jeopardy in Texas. So that's why I'm a little torn on it. What do you think?
Well, I think Alito knows that his comment was absolute nonsense, because the fact is that no, technically you did not overrule Roe v. Wade, but effectively you kind of did. And I think that he is very much well aware of that, and the signal that has been sent now from the ruling as it concerns this Texas law and how it's signaling to other states to go ahead and to create their own. And Alito knows that. And so this is part of the problem that people are criticizing the court for, because it's essentially, just saying, oh, well, we kind of did this thing, but oops, I guess it really jeopardizes and really kind of effectively overrules Roe v. Wade. And it's like he's playing stupid. But then on top of that, listening to Amy Coney Barrett and the rest of these individuals on the court now essentially taking it to the public arena to defend their positions seems really, it seems really kind of almost petty and small when you're supposed to be at this elite level on the Mount ruling at the highest court in the nation. I have never seen anything really like this. Scalia would, throw out quips occasionally because that was his thing. But for them to essentially really come down from the Mount just so that they can defend themselves, it really says that they're in a position where their cases have been undermined and their legitimacy is undermined, and there is good reason for it.
Does it make them look bad, you guys think, to do that?
Oh yeah. It makes them look silly, small, petty, and on our level. Whereas they're supposed to be at this heightened level where we all want to become them, and this thought that they are these philosophers and these minds that we can never attain. Nah, they just like the people at the pub.
Totally, and I think Amy Coney Barrett's more wrong than Alito is. This whole idea of no, we don't have political opinions, we have judicial philosophy. My ass, you do. All the conservative justices were like, states' rights to discriminate against black people and make sure they can't vote. States' rights, right? And then like, okay, how about states' rights to legalize marijuana? They're like, screw states' rights. We don't give a damn about states' rights. And besides which, we're not even having this conversation after Bush v. Gore, where the 5 Republican justices just put Bush into office and said, literally stop the count. We don't want democracy. We want the Republican guy to be president. So they politicized this a long time ago. All right, we're out of time. In the bonus episode, are we really gonna fight with Joe Rogan, Mike Lindell's nuts, and how many Republicans want us to secede? You're gonna love it, tyt.com/join. We'll see you there. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat, emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.